See your notepad. Even if it is your phone, let me see. Your notepad, okay. Your notepad, your phone. Okay. I'll ask them that I'm ready to take notes of the lessons we're learning today. So ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we'll be inviting our first speaker. But before we do that, kindly listen to his biography.
Timi Mogaji holds a bachelor's degree in microbiology and has over a decade experience in talent sourcing, learning and development, as well as performance management functions of human resource management. He is a certified faith-based counselor with the International Institute of Faith-Based Counseling, USA, and a faculty member of the prestigious Baystar Leadership Academy. He presently serves as an associate pastor at Daystar Christian Center, where he oversees the satellite center in Alimosho and also has the missions team of the church. He was a coordinating pastor of Daystar's youth church, the staff for almost 6 years. He's happily married to Ifeanyi Chukwu Mogaji and blessed with 2 amazing children. Now, with a standing ovation, may welcome Associate Pastor of Daystar Christian Center, Timi Mogaji.
Alright, so we can be standing, right? I'm just going to say a few things before it comes up, right? I remember the first time we were told at the University Center that we had a new pastor. I was like, how you bring another pastor? And I used to know we already had. And last year, Pastor Sheku was with us, right? Pastor Sheku was with us at the last edition, right? And I want you to prepare your mind, right? This man is an embodiment, right, of a whole lot. The first time I heard him, my mind shifted. I'm not going to lie, right? And I know that a whole lot of people can testify to. He's a blessing to a lot of people, right? Anytime he speaks like this, something is troubling, right? I'm not even kidding, right? So please prepare your mind, right? This is someone that you will be challenged when you hear a story. You know, he's looking fresh and fine today, but there's a story behind the glory. So please prepare your mind, right? Get set. Just be open to whatever you're going to receive. Don't close your mind to any information that you're going to consume. So please, with a round of applause, please very welcome the first speaker.
Alright, thank you so much, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you so much. So good to see everyone. I want to sincerely appreciate the convener of the Ignite conference. Please can you please put your hands together for Mr. I believe you can do that. Some of us we don't appreciate what is happening, not because we've not started our own thing yet, but even if you've not started, please, anyone that has started something, whether it's small or big, need to give good service, right? In an economy like this, we're still investing money in trying to get people together to inspire them. Even if we're not paid, can we celebrate one more time? And I sincerely want to appreciate him. We've known for quite some time now. Feels like so long, but I think we bonded, and I sincerely appreciate him, his heart, his dedication, his tenacity. Thank God we don't look like what we've been through, right? I'm a very good reader. Sometimes, many times, we don't look at what we've been through. I know a few things about him, and that's why I know he has the authority to organize events like this. One more time, please celebrate the convener, Mr. Timi. For some reasons, I feel overdressed, right? So I'm going to ask for permission to remove my jacket. Is it? I'm okay like this. Okay, this I'm okay like this. But at any point in time, if I feel too heavy, because I was thinking of what to wear, but with the way they position my picture, so let me represent. All right, such a joy to be here. I'm going to be sharing briefly with us, speaking briefly, and I want to appreciate everybody for coming. I'm sure you have other places to other alternatives and places you could have gone to, but thank you for attending Ignite conference, such that we're not speaking to cheers alone. Please put your hands together for yourselves. And I usually say that's the challenge of Nigerians. We don't celebrate even ourselves. So when I ask you to celebrate, you did, but now I'm asking you to celebrate yourself, you're not doing it. Can you clap for yourself? Someone said the first step towards success is showing up. And you showed up today means that you're on the way to succeeding and you will succeed by God's grace. All right, alignment. I'll try to talk about it from my perspective and my view as a pastor, and of course I'll share my life experiences just to buttress this. So apologies to anyone. We're not trying to force anything on you. We just want to inspire you. Is that fine? Is that fine? All right, alignment, an amazing title, all right, an amazing thing for an event like this. And just like Mr. Olamide mentioned, alignment suggests that you're on the right track, that you are in congruence with a particular thing. Alignment suggests that there is an expectation, there is a benchmark, there is something with which you need to align yourself. All right, let's allow that to move. So if you're saying align, it means that there is an expectation, there's a benchmark, right? Just like you used the example of the car, there is a particular way, an expectation that your tires and your wheels have to be. Once they are not in alignment, you are at variance with the standard. So when we're talking about alignment, we're talking about the fact that there is a standard, there should be an expectation, there should be something with which you're gauging your life or whatever it is that you expect of anybody. And that's very, very important, because as long as there is no alignment in life, there will always be frustrations. And I'm telling you this, please note, the major reasons why a lot of people are struggling in Nigeria today is majorly because of the topic we're talking about today, alignment. A lot of people are square pegs and round holes, doing things that they were not supposed to. I remember when I left school, before I left school, I had to pray, because I got into microbiology. Like I usually say, how many wounded doctors do I have here? Thumbs up. You know why my wounded doctor? Some people that will desire to be medical doctors, then something jams you. You know what jams? We were there, right? And then eventually you settle for whatever it is. All right. I got into microbiology, and then in my 200 level, I started asking myself, what exactly am I going to do with microbiology? What exactly is it that's about microbiology? I knew there was more inside of me. I knew there was more. I knew I was misaligned. And by reason of my understanding, I knew I had to call on the person that made me to say, hello, there's a misalignment in microbiology. I've shared a bit of this story before. One of the days that I knew that I should never and must never be a microbiologist was the day I was on COS, IT, right? And I was posted to a laboratory. And one of the things I was supposed to do was to draw blood from people. I thank God I'm not in jail. It was the hardest thing for me. I remember the first person came, I was running. So they knew I was running because I was so afraid to use the syringe and the needle, and they knew, so they organized. So one day, a particular client came and said, please, he just called me from where I was. I went there. I said, now, can you draw blood from this person? I said, okay. I took the person's hand, tied the tourniquet, and I was already praying under my breath. And God, just help me. These people, this person might lose a vein today. So I did that. There's a way you're supposed to position the pin or the needle. It's supposed to go in like this and come out. As I inserted, the man shouted, "Yay!" My upline ran and I said, what happened? Say, this guy wants to kill me, So they collected that one from me and warned me. If they had known, she should now give me another one. That person killed me again. I was telling them, I can't do this. He said, do it. Why are you a microbiologist? Who told you I wanted to be a microbiologist? So the second person came, and then it was a woman. You know the rest of the story, right? And that was the last time I attended. That day, I swore that even if they are giving money, scholarship, you never find me there. And that was when I knew that this is not me. And that's what happens, frustration. A lot of people go through school, go through life misaligned. And that's the reason for many people having false starts. I had my false start. Interestingly, I'm now a pastor, but before being a pastor, I was an HR person, because I later realized that I was never supposed to be even a science student, so to speak. All because of misalignment. When you are misaligned, there's a lot of frustration. And sometimes some people have false starts and they never get to correct their life till they die. A lot is happening, and that's why we're talking about alignment. So alignment, just like I was saying, suggests that there has to be an expectation. There is a benchmark, there's a standard. And that's where I want to talk about, there's something called predestination. Some of you would agree with me that there is something, there's an alignment, there's an expectation that God has of everybody that has come, that He has sent to this earth. God has a standard, a benchmark. He has something that is measuring you by. Many people will probably exit earth and find out that they were not close to what they were supposed to. And I've seen many people. I used to work as a consultant and went to train a bank rather. And while we were training, this man walks in suddenly, one of the top guys, and walks up to my top lead consultant and says, "Why are you doing what you're doing?" And my lead consultant responds. He says, "Because I love doing it." He said, "No. Why are you doing this?" He said, "Because it is what I have the capacity to do." He said, "I'm looking for something." Then the man said, "Okay, then ask your question. Why are you asking me this question?" And guess what the executive director said? It was the executive director of that bank. And he says to my upline, he says, "I'm an executive director." He said, "I have opportunities to take my family. I have 2 houses in Lagos. I have an opportunity to take my family on all expense paid trip to any part of the world, any time of the year." He said, "But there is a vacuum inside." He said, "There's just something that is not aligned. I have journeyed so far, but there is still something that is missing." At that level, where do you start from? Except you find your alignment. So there's a concept of predestination, and what does that mean? So, permit me to just read a few things and just give you perspective. Jeremiah 1:5 says something. Please, I want you to please listen to this. It says, "Before I shaped you in the womb, it says, I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of the day, I had only plans for you, a prophet to the nations." And that is what I had in mind for you. He was speaking to this guy. This was God speaking to a particular young child. This guy, in his mind, would never believe that God will call him to do the things that God was asking him to do. And that's how many of us are. You don't know who you are yet until you discover your purpose. Many of us are being defined by the things we have seen and the things we have been through. But if you know who you are, I'm telling you, your approach to life will be totally different. So God walks up to this guy and told him, "See, before you were formed in your mother's womb," he said, "I knew you." He says, "Before any other thing, I ordained you." So where did that happen? So before and womb. Before suggests that it's a place before the womb. The womb is earth, before is heaven. He says, "Before you were formed," meaning that before even God formed you, your height, your size, the shape of your body, your personality, the way you talk, the way you laugh, your gesticulation, God had an idea of you. God had a concept of you. It was from that concept He then formed a body to house you. Somebody say, "God knows me." See, listen to me. There's no, you are not a mistake. Your height, your size, every bit of you, God designed it. So it's just so exciting to know that sometimes people think God cannot reach them. Listen, God knows you. Everything about you, He had a concept. He now coded it and put it in a body. And that's why God had already fashioned out everything you will become. Your life is not strange to God, and so you are not a stranger to God. Somebody say, "God knew me." He knows everything about you. And it is important that you understand it. He says, "Then I formed you in your mother's womb." Everything, God was watching you. And why am I saying this? Because you must understand that you are here for a purpose. God formed you for a purpose, and it is your responsibility to align. Failure to align will lead to frustration and you living below installed capacity. You don't hear what I said? You can live below installed capacity. You can be a 50 kVA generator and you are living like a 5 kVA generator. All because you are not fully aware of the potential you carry. Turn to your neighbor and say, "I carry something." Say, I carry something. So, a few things that you must understand. You are not a mistake. Did you hear me? I said what? You are not a mistake. If anyone has ever laughed at you because of certain features, they are artistically myopic. You are God's best. God designed you and made you a masterpiece. Just like we usually say, anyone that is taller than you is too tall. Anyone that is shorter than you is too short. Anyone that is bigger than you is too big. You are perfect for God's plan for your life. Somebody say, I'm perfect for God's plan for my life. Turn to your neighbor and give him a high five and say, you're perfect for God's plan for your life. All right. So, the first thing I wanted you to understand is the fact that God knows you. And He has planned your life. Is somebody with me? You're welcome, man. Welcome. The first thing I said is that God knows you, right? The second thing I'm saying to you now is that God has a plan for your life. Somebody say, God has a plan for my life. One of the things you must understand is that the way God has designed it is such that you are not supposed to be running around looking for how to survive. There is a path that has been clearly created for you to follow. And the reason why a lot of people are frustrated and not living up to installed capacity is because they do not know. Many people are running around in circles today because they do not have an idea of what God's plan was for them. Here I was studying microbiology. The level of frustration that I had. By the time I was done serving, I realized that I was never supposed to go into microbiology. I was supposed to be a management person. Now I carry my CV to people and say, employ me as an HR person and say, you studied microbiology. Will you get out of here? All these things, all because I couldn't get things early enough. I couldn't understand the reason why I was here early enough. I suffered. Should I tell you something? I had holes under my shoes. Because the number of years I invested in running around and following something that was not supposed to be for me was so much that it took God to restore me. And that's why we're here. Why am I saying this? God's plan was never for anyone to suffer. What God has done is that He has created a life for you. He has settled your life. All you need to do is to know it and align. Somebody say align. Let me tell you something from Psalm 119 verse 89. It says from verse 16, it says, you saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out. Every single day had passed. See, everything you're ever going to do has been laid out. God is not running around and saying, how will I get to this? If only you knew that there was a plan and you asked for alignment, many people would have been a blessing today other than being problems. As long as you don't know, you will become a part of the statistics of problem rather than statistics of problem solvers. And why are we doing Ignite Conference and alignment today? Because God wants to raise people who will be in alignment and be problem solvers and not problems. As long as, don't forget, as long as you're not in alignment, there will be frustration. Everything about your life has been written. That's the standard. The question is, how far am I? How aligned am I with what God has written? So I remember when I told you that I was praying, right? In 200 level, I said, I do not see myself finishing microbiology and then sitting in a medical laboratory drawing blood or being a pharmaceutical company trying to check quality. I felt there was more inside of me. So what did I do? I started praying. And I remember when I was going to finish my 400 level, I knew what God wanted me to do. I knew what God wanted me to do. And He started positioning my life. So microbiology was for 4 years. By the time I was praying, I knew that number one, I was going to be a pastor. Listen to me. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you. And He has a plan that He must matriculate you into. Is somebody with me? There's a plan God must matriculate you into. As long as you have not been matriculated in that plan, you will end up serving other people. and not eventually become who you were supposed to be. So one day I got out of school after I've been beaten by life. I dropped my CV here. It says, no, you don't have experience in HR, move. I dropped it there. They said, don't ever come back here. I sat down and I told myself, there is more inside of me. So what did I start to do? I started doing something. Listen to me. Because I knew what I could do. I started going to schools. What was I doing in schools? I started teaching teachers, helping them. You know what I was doing? I was training them, organizing opportunities for them to get better. Unknown to me, I was developing capacity in that area. And as I was doing it, I was putting it on my resume. So when it was time for me to move into HR, I remember what happened. I went to a place and I told them, I want to work for you. I want to work with you for free to learn HR. Did you hear me? I said, I want to work with you to learn HR. And they told me, yeah, what do you have? And I dropped my CV. And I remember the first statement that woman said. She said, are you sure you are the one that needs us or we are the one that needs you? Listen to me, never take no for an answer in life. I have been so rejected to the point where I told myself I would go out and try out things. By the time I moved out and I was doing certain things, I was developing capacity. They could not deny it. I entered that organization. Under 1 week, I became the head of learning and development. Turn your neighbor and say, never take no for an answer. So, I moved in there. Before I got there, I remember I was saying, God, I know you want me to be a pastor, but now there's no opportunity to be a pastor. What am I supposed to do? Then I remember one morning, I woke up and I heard, go into human capacity development. Let me stress something to you. When it comes to discovering your purpose, please note this. Your purpose is not taught. Your purpose is caught. Your purpose is not determined. Your purpose is discovered. Is somebody with me? Your purpose is not determined, it is revealed. Many of us here can go on investing life and your time in things that God has not ordained for you. I want to encourage you to step back and go and ask the one who made you. If you want to know the purpose of a phone, who do you ask? The manufacturer. Am I correct? If you want to know the purpose of anything, you go back to the person that created that thing. And that's why it is important for you to always learn to go back to God so that you don't run a race that God has not designed for you. I suffered. By the time I was 20-something, I knew the impact on my body. All because there was a misalignment. And I promised myself that not again, no longer will anyone that I know, as long as you're close to me, walk and have false start. So, a few things you must not understand about purpose. Number one, I said it, your purpose is not thought. It is what? Thought. Please note it. And how do you catch it? It's in prayer and study. You must catch your purpose. It is God that reveals. Today, I hear people say a lot of things about purpose. My purpose is to do this. My purpose is that. Guess what? As long as it is not the manufacturer speaking it to you, you are offline. You are not in alignment. The next thing that I want to say about purpose is this. That purpose is about people. Please note that. Purpose is what? Is about people. Your purpose is not to create a product. Your purpose is to solve a problem for people through a product. Is somebody getting it? Your purpose is not to be in real estate. Your purpose is supposed to improve people's lives through real estate. Is somebody getting it? So we see people who are so focused on product and developing things at the expense of their purpose. If it is purpose, it must always be about improving people's lives. You must have people in your life. You must have people you are called to. Some people are called to children. Some people are called to ladies. Some people are called to people that have been raped. Some people are called to singles. You must understand who you have been called to. Purpose is about a person or a group of people. For some people here, you can't see a child walking on the street and you feel very uncomfortable. That is God knocking. That is purpose calling. You feel like just helping the person. Some of you here see people dress anyhow and it makes you angry. That is an indicator that you have been called to solve a problem. Your purpose is always about people and not just about products. So the question is, have you found the people
that you have been sent to? Do you have a vision born out of your purpose to transform people's life? There are people here who are going to have orphanages, who are going to go to prisons. You are sent to people, and the earlier you know it, the faster it is. Please turn to your neighbor and say, my purpose is about people. Little wonder, when Jesus was introducing himself, he says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and has anointed me to do what? To speak, to preach the good news to the poor, to open the eyes of the blind, to comfort those people, those that comfort, those that mourn in Zion. Do you know they're a group of people? That's mental health. The poor, either financially, that's another challenge. He said a few things. Your purpose is always about people. Turn to your neighbor and say, your purpose is about people. All right? Let me quickly just help you out and wrap up. How do you discover purpose? How do you discover purpose? What's the plan? What's the master and the maker's plan for you to discover purpose? Number one, you must ask. I want you to leave here, or before leaving here, you should write it down and say, God, why am I here? You know, one of the things I do, one of the reasons why I do what I do is because I got to know that this was what I was called to. I know my purpose. My purpose is to open the eyes of the blind through teachings. That's my essence, and I find it while I was reading the Bible, while I was praying. I know that I'm called to be a teacher, to open people's eyes, to see, to bring paradigm shifts to people. Many other people have found it. Some people know that they are called to business. Some people know that they are called to entertainment. Some people know that they are called to politics. My question is, do you know where you are called to? And how do you know? You must ask. Never guess your purpose. Purpose is not determined. Purpose is what? Is discovered. Say it again. Purpose is not determined. Purpose is what? Discovered. All right. So you ask. So one of those days, I said it with you, I was just praying. And those of you that know that believe in God, please know that God can direct you. Know that God can direct you. There is no limit to who you can be in God. Today, someone said to me, he said, you started out as a microbiologist, you moved into HR, now you release the song, now you're a pastor, now you're going to author a book, and so many other things. Listen to me, that's because when you are walking in God's purpose, your life cannot be caged. Is somebody with me? There are different phases. Some of you are settled too early that I'm just a computer engineer. Listen to me, there are so many initials that are supposed to be added to you. Some of you still have MBA. Some of you still have auto. Listen to me, I'm hoping that by the time you are done with an Ignite conference in the next 2 years, when they are going to introduce you, they are not going to say, meet Kemi. They are going to say, meet Kemi Bankole, the author, the convener of, the one who does that, the one who does this, because your life must be in alignment, and it is not just one thing. There are phases to your purpose, and you must discover it. If you are alive and all that you have to your name is just a degree and no other achievement, then you are not alive. I'm seeing business tycoons here. I'm seeing senators here. I am seeing leaders here. I'm seeing global influencers here. I'm seeing people who will walk into a country and president will receive you by reason of the level of value you carry. Is somebody listening to me? Turn to your neighbor and say, there is more to me than meets the eye. I want to hear you say, there is more to me than meets the eye. One assignment I want to ask you to do today is to ask God and wait for an answer. Sometimes some people don't know how God speaks to them. If you continue to pray to God, there are different ways, and I quickly tell you. Number one, how many of you have probably prayed about something before, or you were thinking about something and you had peace about it? Serious peace. Anybody? So because when we say pray about something, somebody is expecting a revelation and an angel coming, angels can come. But this is, God deals with you the way he knows how he knows to deal with you. So when you pray about something, especially maybe when you're looking for a life partner, 3 people are asking you, babe, now how far? How far now? You have three good things, three good people in front of you. How do you know the best one? Some people are laughing. Some people don't like, they can't but just say relationship and not smile. Can you see? That's why they're ready. Ask God for your purpose. Ask God, and the way God responds, He responds with non-verbal cues and verbal cues. God can speak to you, you can hear another voice. God can speak to you with pictures. He can arouse desires in your heart towards something. Bible says, wherever your treasure is, your heart will be there. Some people, you cannot play football, but you can spend all your money. I'm not encouraging sport betting. You know what I'm talking about? That some people, you think they own Man U. When they start analyzing it, I bet my neighbor was afraid of his son. He said this boy will end up being a failure. I said, why? He says even in his sleep, he's running commentary on football. So I told myself, you can't send this boy away. We have to invest in it. And I will be hearing boy speaking Queen's English, running commentary, yet he cannot kick a ball and move in the right direction. That is training. That is something you must help the boy. So I told them, give the boy to me. You know what? Pay all the school fees to master's degree, and I'll give him back to you. What I was just trying to say to them, there's a gift in this guy. There's something God has given to him. Many of you, your parents shut you up. You talk too much. They didn't know they were shutting up your profit. And at the end of it all, they are angry that you are sitting down at home. But you told me to shut up. Some people, you want to really draw. And your parents are saying, who that want help? Drawing, fine art, for where? They say, go to medicine. And right now, we are still looking for your certificate. 11 years. Is somebody with me? Instead of having false starts, the first thing you need to do is to ask God. Don't ask once, ask consistently. Number 2, you need to seek God's word. I remember I met a lady. When I met her, and usually when I meet people like that, I told her, I said, what do you want to become? He said, I don't know, but I want to become a civil engineer. I said, why? He said, because my dad is no more and I was a civil engineer, so I want to leave to become a civil engineer so that I can always remember myself. Not bad, sorry about your dad. I said, but is that what you really want to do? I said, so what is it about civil engineering that you know? Nothing. I said, okay. So what else do you want to do? I said, I really don't know. And all our mates were gaining admission. First year, second year, until one day I called her. And I said, I'm going to give you an assignment. So I gave her a book. I said, you read this book, you pray, and you come back to me. One of the ways by which you know you have discovered your purpose is the amount of joy that it comes with. If you have ever hit purpose, see, they will offer you money. Say, I don't need money. What I am feeling inside of me, money cannot buy it. And that's why I'm telling you that if you have discovered God's purpose, it is filled with joy, peace. When people are saying there's no way here, you will say there is a way here. So in 1 week, interestingly, for the first time, this girl came back, and she wasn't just coming back. She ran back to my house, knocking the door. I said, what is it? She said, I found it. I said, found what? I said, I now know what I'm supposed to do. I said, what is it? She said, I'm supposed to be a child psychologist. And how did I get to know that this girl actually found purpose? Was the brightness, the joy in her eyes. Today she's studying psychology in one of the universities, and that one thing you can know is that person cannot fail. Is somebody with me? So the second thing I'm trying to say is that you must seek. The book I gave to her, open her up. You must study. You must find out what exactly people are ahead of you. One of the things I tell people, if you want to know where to go to choose a career or how to discover purpose, sometimes first thing I say is that look ahead and ask yourself, who is doing what I would love to do? That was how I started. Who is currently doing what I would love to do? Do you have anybody like that? That person is not your mentor, that person is your role model. Don't mistake this. There's a difference between a mentor and a role model. That person is a role model, alright? Who is currently doing what you love to do? Then ask yourself some other questions, like, what makes me angry? So the three things you must notice that what makes me mad, what makes me sad, what makes me glad. Note it. Those things are indicators. I have a brother. When we were much younger, we'll be watching the news, and we just say something like, "What is this?" And everyone said, "What's that?" Say, "Can't you see that guy's tie? Why is he positioned like tie?" And every one of us were looking at the tie. What's wrong? He said, "The guy didn't knot the tie well." Like, this guy is weird. Another time, a lady was reading the news and she shouted, He said, "What is it?" He said, "She should have put a chain around her chest." And we're all listening to the same news, but we're seeing different things. Those are the things that indicate to you that you have a purpose. What makes you angry? Some of you here, you can sing. If somebody sings off key like this, the way you react. Some people cannot even hold it. Hey, they just shout and just turn music to noise for us. What makes you sad? What makes you mad? What makes you glad? If you can find those three things, they are indicators to where God will have you function. I'll quickly talk about an acronym that you can also help you. So I said, what makes you what? Mad? What makes you sad? What makes you glad? The other thing is in the acronym SHAPE. SHAPE is an acronym. S for your spiritual gifts. Some of you, you meet someone for the first time, and sometimes you know what has happened to them in their lives. Some of you sleep and have dreams about the future. Your spiritual gifts that God has given to you are indicators to what God will have you do. Is somebody with me? Have you found your talent? Have you found the spiritual gift? The second one is H, your heart. What are your interests? What is it that they told you don't ever go there? But we found you there. I don't have been flow for playing football here. Very well. You know what I'm saying? But they'll tell you, if you get out of this, I will disown you. But what happens the next day? They don't. So they disown you. Your heart, what are your interests? When I'm trying to do career counseling for students, those are some of the things I point out. Some people, you want to do, you follow names and not your passion. Someone like me, I was in a science class, and the science class I was the best class, where nobody in that class would take all the A's. We all would share it. We're that good. And then they will ask each other, what do you want to become? And say, aeronautic engineer. So, medical doctor. It's an engineer. So, when I say they got to me, what do you want to become? I don't want to be a pharmacist. I'm not sure I could even spell pharmacist. And I realized that next time they call myself veterinary medicine, because I needed to look for a big name. Some people suffered. Go for joy. Go for your interests, and not just for money. You know, I do a bit of career counseling. I remember a lady, she had gone 7 years as a lawyer. She was a trained lawyer, 7 years into banking. And eventually, after 7 years, she realized that she was not supposed to be there. 7 years, that's even still redeemable. She now resigned, and then went back to the chambers, and now said, "You don't have experience in law, so you were earning 700k in the bank. You start with 35k. That's the way life is." And she said, "It's better, I would rather take the 35k than die and lose my." So what I'm saying in essence is, you must discover, learn your H. So spiritual gift, H for art, A for what's your abilities, what are your skills, what are your talents, what is it that you do more than any other person, what is it that people say about you. Some people tell you this guy is a comedian. You better listen to it. Should I tell you about my first interview? My first interview was a disaster. By the time the guy asked me, "So tell us about yourself," I was stammering. I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know the language with which I could say it. When the guy looked at me, he said, "It's okay. So he started an interview session turned into a counseling session. He said, "So what did your friend usually?" And you know the funny thing? That was one of the places where I discovered my purpose. Your pain, and I'm still going to get there. It pained me so much there. Right there, that I told myself, I said, no longer will I allow people around me go through this shame. The guy says, "Okay," he gave me 7 questions. He said, "Come back, fill the question, answer the question, and come back and see me." I told myself that day, and that was what led me into training, helping people with their interviews, with their CVs, because I knew I represented 1,000 people. So, your abilities, what is it that you can do better than other people? Don't joke with it. Can you play basketball? Can you write? Can you dance? All of those things are indicators to your purpose. The next one is your pain. Your personality, rather. Your personality. How many of you know the reason why you act the way you act? If you know someone here who they say, please buy bread across the road, and before the person steps out, the person he or she has greeted 5 or 10 people. If you are here, say, Such a person is a sanguine. And a sanguine cannot be a project manager. It is not possible. No. If not, they will just scatter your project, because they are prone to delays. They are people lovers. They will rather say to everybody before they get to the job. You have them in your offices. They are the one that comes to your seat like 5 times. They go back to your seat. They are like that. How many of you have people that are domineering? You are on the same level. They say, pick me that pen. You are That's a choleric. Don't ever ask the person to do customer service. You will lose clients. Are you talking to me like that? Then go away with your money. That's how it. What I'm saying all of this is you must understand your personality. It indicates where God will have you function. How many of you have done a personality test before? If you have not done it, quickly note down this website, 16personalities.com, www.123tests.com. Go ahead and do your personality test. They will come back with a result that tells you areas where we should function. And the last thing is your experience. As a rapper, your last thing is what? Your experience. I've talked about S, H, A, P, and what? E, which is what? Your experience. I said to you, don't waste your pain. If you've ever achieved anything in life before and you had so much joy, that thing is indicating something about where you should set. Sometimes where you have experienced pain is exactly where God will have you function. Please touch your neighbor and say, don't waste your pain. What is it that you have gone through that is still fresh in your mind, that you still feel that if anything happens to anybody, I will stand up for them? That is speaking of advocacy. Most of the time, the things you go through, God uses them as your own arrowhead of purpose. So don't waste your pain. Discover your spiritual gift, your art, which is your interest, your abilities, your personality, and what? Your experiences. Some of you don't know that you already have money. But because you don't see your experience as something that can bless people. How many of you know Joyce Meyer here? Do you know her story? Do you know her story? Some of you know her story, right? The reason why she's one of the things that you know about her is the fact that her dad used to molest her. And today, out of that mess, she has a very, very formidable ministry. Many people are selling their pain because they have refused not to waste their pain, but to convert it into value. I want to encourage you to please convert your pain into value. And then the last thing I will say to you is that please make sure you have a mentor. If you are asking God, you're studying, please make sure you have a mentor. How many of you have a mentor here? I'm wrapping up now. How many of you have people you can go to and ask questions? I'm not saying a role model. Somebody say, who's my mentor? I say, Anthony Joshua. Have you met him before? And one of the things you must understand about having mentors is this. Are you with me? The things they learned in 50 years, they can give to you in 50 minutes. What do you call somebody who saw somebody fall into a ditch right in front of the person? And right in front of you, someone fell into a ditch, and you too, the same person fell into that same ditch. What do you call that person? Sorry? He's not blind though. You were walking, and someone in front of you fell into a ditch. And then you went ahead and did what? Fell into that same ditch. What do you call such a person? I didn't ask you to abuse anybody. But that's exactly what happens to you when you fail to go to people and learn from their mistakes. Someone has gone through it before. what they learned from that experience should be credited into your own account for success. It is lack of wisdom for you to go on in life, not asking questions, not getting guidance, because you might end up repeating the same mistakes and they repeated, and there is no inspirational value in making mistakes, the same mistakes that others have made. I want to encourage you to please sit back. Before the end of this conference, I am praying that some of you will know what exactly to do by the grace of God. I said some of you will know what exactly to do by the grace of God. Please remember that your purpose is not taught, it is what? It is caught. Your purpose is not determined, it is what? It is discovered. If you are going to know your purpose, you must go to God and He will reveal it to you. Some of the indicators to understanding your purpose are what? Your shape. S for what? H for? A for? P for? E for? And I said something about what makes you mad, what makes you glad. And don't forget, get a mentor. I pray that the next time we're going to see, it will be at the top. Thank you very much, everybody.